So he would go ahead and say, you're being investigated for sharing this illegal content, and if you want us to stop the investigation, I want you to send more pictures of yourself, including your face. What's up guys, Fooch from Fooch TV here today. Now, as I was preparing an update to the Nth Room, I came across an article that talked about how during the press release that revealed Gakat's name to the public, as well as Gakat's public apology, there was a one-man protest outside, yelling and screaming at how the operators should be receiving harsh punishments, including the death penalty, and onlookers were, curious who this individual was. Was it someone that knew someone that was a victim of the Nth Room, or was there some relation at all? And it turns out that this idiot was actually one of the operators himself, who also distributed illegal pornography and child pornography. Now, it turns out the reason why he was protesting, it was found out later, is because he wanted to avenge himself against Kelly, who was another operator who ratted out this guy, this protester whose nickname was Trumpy. He ratted him out and only received 1 year in prison. So you may be thinking what I'm thinking right now when I was preparing the script is, who the heck is Kelly? Now, upon further digging, I realized that I did not fully understand the scope and all the details of this case. Neither did the other YouTube videos that I've seen, and as well as articles as well. So actually what I wanted to do today is I wanted to present a complete, comprehensive summary of the Nth Room case. Now, for this first segment, I want to be actually talking about the Nth Rooms themselves. Now, what are the Nth Rooms? The Nth Rooms were 8 Telegram chat rooms in which there were about 3 to 4 female victims that were, quote, slaves, and they were forced to do many things, such as take pictures of themselves naked, masturbate while looking into the camera, as well as meet people offline to have sex with. Now, those 8 rooms are considered the Nth Room, Nth being the number between 1 and 8. But in addition to those rooms, there are so many other rooms. There was Doctor's Room that came after, which involved a similar premise. However, he made the girls do much more disgusting things and charged a much higher price to gain access to the room, as well as many other Telegram chat rooms that focused on sharing illegal pornography, that involved sharing child pornography, deep fakes, revenge porn, many different things. All of these rooms are being lumped together as the Nth Room. However, that's not the most appropriate name, considering the Nth Room is kind of a standalone thing using the Telegram chat rooms, and the other ones are separate incidences that also happen to use the Telegram chat rooms. So for today, we're just going to be focusing on those 8 rooms. If we wanted to call the entire thing give the entire thing a certain name, it would probably be called something like the Telegram sex chat rooms or the Telegram illegal explicit content chat rooms, something like that. But today we will only be focusing on the Nth Rooms themselves. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to be introducing the list of people, the list of the main actors involved in the Nth Rooms, and then when I give the order of events in chronological order, you'll be able to refer to this list of names that I'm giving right now of the people. So the first one we have is the mastermind behind this. His name is Gakat. He's 24 years old. His real name is Moon Hyuk-gu. He's the creator of the Nth Rooms, and he managed the rooms from February 2019 until about August 2019. Next we have Watchman, whose real name was not given out. However, his family name Jun was given out. He's 38 years old. He's creator of the Telegram chat room Gotham Room, which is used to promote both the Nth Rooms and another blog that he ran. More on that later. Kelly, whose real name was also not given. His surname is Shin. He's 32 years old, and he was the one that eventually took control of the Nth Rooms after Gakat had retired, shut down 7 of the rooms, and Kelly inherited 1 of the rooms where he continued to manage until they were finally shut down. Next we have An Sung Jin, 25 years old. Apparently he was not given a nickname, or that nickname wasn't released to the public. He was Gakat's accomplice. Next up we have Kim, 37. He had sex with a girl that Gakat forced to somewhere in Daegu. Lastly we have Lee, 29. Similar situation as Kim. He had sex with a girl that Gakat forced her to have sex with him, and that also happened in Daegu. So let's get started with the actual events themselves. This brings us back to February of 2019. Gakat and An Sung-jin, they both create these 8 rooms on Telegram, and they codename everything the Nth Room. Now each room had about 3 to 4 girls, meaning the total victims related to the Nth Room case is about 20 to 30 girls. Now each of the room had 300 to 700 participants, viewers, and in order to gain access to the room you had to pay 10,000 won. That 10,000 won price didn't matter which room, it just was 10,000 won to get access to one of the rooms. After some period of time, content from the room started leaking outside and being sold at a higher price. How did these girls become victims? Well, Gakat went onto Twitter and found his victims online, which ranged in age from middle school all the way to university students. So what these girls would do is they would post pictures of themselves, not including their face and, with no personal information, but they would take pictures of certain body parts and post them online, trying to accomplish a couple of things. Maybe they were trying to prostitute themselves, maybe they were just looking for validation, looking to hook up with people, or they were looking to sell the pictures, more pictures to people, things that happen, and frequently happen online. So what Gakat would do is he would send a message to the girls and say, hey, someone has been sharing your content online. This is the profile which they're sharing it on. So they would go ahead and click the link, which would be another Twitter link, and then a pop-up or a new browser window would come up, and it would prompt the girls to enter their account information as well as some private information. Now, it's to be stated that the exact details of what actually happened are not being released to the public out of fear that a copycat crime might come about. So the girls, they would enter in their account information and some of their personal information, but this was actually a malicious link, and Gakat had access to the information that they were typing in. So once he had their account information as well as some of their private information, he would go ahead and say, actually, I'm a police officer and we're investigating you for sharing this illegal content. Now, it's important to note that in Korea, pornography is illegal. So he would go ahead and say, you're being investigated for sharing this illegal content, and if you want us to stop the investigation, I want you to send more pictures of yourself, including your face. Now, at this point in time, the girl would either comply and send more pictures to him, in which at that point they would use those pictures to blackmail the girl to get into the room and continuously do what they say. Or if the girl at that point refused his request, Gakat would send them a screenshot of their social media friend list saying that we know who you are, we're going to send the photos you've been posting on Twitter to all of the friends on your social media friend list. And usually at that point, that would convince the girl enough to enter the room and to comply with all of their demands. Now, it's a little bit unclear why the girls would go ahead and enter their account information, or at least the public information, because maybe their account didn't have their real name. The only light I could shed on this is that actually in Korea it's a little bit different than in other countries. In Korea, in order to make an account on almost every website, you need to be a resident of Korea. So what does that entail? That entails having an ID card and a phone number, and the name connected to your phone number needs to be the same name on your ID card. So usually people coming to Korea, visitors, cannot sign up for Korean websites because they don't have that ID card. Now, however, Koreans are not aware that the rest of the world is different, and in Korea they think that the system is like that everywhere else in the world. So every time when I talk to people and I say, hey, like if you go to the US, you don't need to have an ID to create a Google account, a Facebook account, a Twitter account, whatever, a game account, whatever, you just need to have an email address. A lot of people are surprised by that fact. So the only thing I can guess here is some of the girls, when they made their Twitter account, Twitter is actually one of the websites where you don't have to verify your identity and put in your real information. My only thought is because they're not used to that, maybe they actually did put in their private information when originally making their Twitter account, meaning that when Kaka got access to their account, he already had access to their full names, or maybe they were just fooled when being asked to input their private information because they were, upset or angry that their information was being shared illegally, or, sometimes people just get tricked online. There's a lot of scams where, the Nigerian prince scam, which, you may be sitting there thinking, I would never fall for that, but, the reason why they keep doing it is because there are some people that do fall for that. Voice phishing, scams, all like that. There is a small percentage of the population that do fall for those scams, and maybe that the girls that got trapped in the Nth Room, they being asked for this private information, maybe they fell into that trap. At this time, a Telegram chat room named Gotham Bong was created by someone going by the nickname of Watchmen. Gotham Bong is the Korean for Gotham Room. Now, Gotham Room was a Telegram chat room which would be used not to share pictures and videos themselves. That capability was actually turned off. Only text and links can be shared in Gotham Room. However, that chat room was used to share links to various other websites that contain child pornography, spy cams, illegally filmed, pornography, etc. Now, Watchmen also ran a blog called AV Snoop, which was actually based off of another adult website called AV Snoop that also shared illegal pornographic material, as all the stuff I mentioned before, and that popped up after SoraNet, and Watchmen's goal was to continue the legacy of SoraNet. Now, what exactly is SoraNet? SoraNet is kind of like, it was a website of what the Telegram chat rooms are right now, not involving actual girls as slaves, but SoraNet was a website and community that was used to share these illegal videos, as well as spy cam videos and deepfakes. And I don't know if deepfakes was around back then. SoraNet was finally shut down in 2016, but up until then it had spy cam footage, the revenge porn stuff, all that illegal stuff was posted on that site until it was finally shut down in 2016. As of July 2019, a couple of months after the Nth Room was set up, there were 4,000 members in Gotham Room. And again, Gotham Room was not a place where you can share pictures and videos, only links. However, there were many derivative rooms being shared in Gotham Room, linking you to another chat room where people were actually sharing illegal content, and a lot of content shared in these derivative rooms was content actually coming from the Nth Room itself. Now, a lot of this content involved these girls, again, between the ages of middle school and university students. They were either asked to, bark on the ground like a dog. They were asked to change themselves in a public men's restroom. They were asked to look into the camera as they masturbate. Kaka was also in the Gotham Room, and he was mocking the police, having this to say. At this rate, I would have thought one of the girls would have died, aka suicide, but I haven't heard of anything yet. Even one girl dead would be a good example of the cops are too busy fucking around doing nothing to stop us. In the room, they would also say derogatory words towards women, one of them being pisage, which roughly translates to blood-wrapped fucker, referring to women's menstrual cycles, and the wrapping being the tampon and whatnot. Even that, what I said, blood-wrapped fucker, that doesn't sound, kind of sounds a little bit silly in English. However, in the Korean, expression for it is extremely vulgar and extremely derogatory. By this time, again, July 2019, the Nth Rooms were already under investigation by one of Korea's largest newspapers, Hangyongre, as well as an activist group called Reset, that were going into the rooms, downloading the content as evidence and constantly reporting it to Telegram. However, these groups do note that Telegram's report system was very ambiguous. Even though they reported it, the rooms wouldn't get shut down, and there was no real clear guidelines provided by Telegram on how to report these rooms that are evidently doing illegal activity. As they were collecting evidence, it was also very challenging for the activists because every once in a while these Nth Rooms would get shut down. Now, they had certain criteria in which they were shut down based on, how many messages were sent, how many people actually joined the chat room or whatnot. That information, again, is not really public, considering the fact that the officials do not want another copycat crime of this sort to happen, so they're not giving every detail about how it was conducted. However, for whatever requirement they had, the Nth Rooms would be shut down and reopened with other various rooms to protect the members, such as the evacuation room and the mod room. For when they shut down one of the rooms, those known verified people can go somewhere, they can wait until the Nth Room is recreated and then gather back in that room again. One of the investigators said he actually witnessed a live video of a girl who seemed to look like she was in middle school waiting in some sort of lodging, like a motel or whatnot, and a man entered the room and proceeded to have sex with her while everyone in the chat room was yelling and cheering and going crazy. Now, the investigator said that he or she, we don't know what gender they were, that they took the video and sent it to the police and thought they were kind of useless and asked themselves, what's the point of all this if a child is still being raped somewhere? And they recall the nausea and insomnia that they experienced from seeing such a vile, disgusting act and seeing so many people in the chat room cheering and being so excited about this. They went on to say that they felt useless because they weren't able to help. During this time, is someone going by the name of Lee, a 29-year-old, met a girl in Daegu, and that girl was someone that Gakkat had forced to have sex with the male. The man recorded them having sex, uploaded to the Nth Room. However, at some later point in time, he was captured and arrested for 3 years. Now, Kim, a 37-year-old male, had also had a similar story back in 2016. Now, besides the fact that he also created about 170 videos related to child pornography and distributed more than 2,000, his story is very, very similar to Lee's. However, there has been no statement saying that it was actually Gakkat who commanded it, and Gakkat had only been the one to command Lee to do it, not Kim. But because the stories are so similar in the sense of the city that it took place in and the location near a mart, the incident was also talked about in the Nth Room. People believe that this is also related to Gakkat as well, which leads us to believe that Gakkat, even though the Nth Room didn't start until February 2019, he was already participating in this illegal activity and kind of setting up what would be the beta to the Nth Rooms, so something that he wouldn't create for another 3 years. Now, for an unknown reason, in about the end of July / beginning of August in 2019, Gakkat actually gave the links to all the Nth Rooms for free in the Gotham room, so he wasn't accepting the 10,000 won. He gave all the links for free for some period of time, and then he announced that he was going to retire to study for college entrance exams, in which he shut down 7 of the Nth Rooms. He left 1 open, and he put Kelly, a 32-year-old by just known as his surname Shin, he put Kelly in charge of that Nth Room. However, that didn't last very long, as Shin was arrested later that month in August. He possessed nearly 10,000 videos of illegal pornography and child pornography and sold about 2,500 of those images, making about $20,000. In November, he was sentenced to only 1 year in jail and was forced to do a 40-hour sexual harassment training and restricted from employment for 3 years. Now, the reason why the police are saying that they only gave him a 1-year sentence, because during that time he was sharing all the information about the Nth Room, and because the police were really clueless at the time what was going on or how it was happening, they gave him this sweetheart deal where they only gave him 1 year in exchange for the operators and how the whole scheme was working and everything like that. They also said his sentence was so light because there was, quote, no evidence that he was responsible for making any of the videos. So the Nth Room seemed to have all disappeared by September 2019, as well as Watchman's blog AV Snoop. However, the Telegram channel that he created, Gotham Room, was still operating and at that point had 7,000 active users. Now, in the aftermath of all this, it was revealed that the reason why the AV Snoop blog had shut down was because Watchman was already arrested, but not for his involvement in the Nth Room and for creating the AV Snoop blog, but he was also involved for sharing and selling illegal pornographic material. Now, this was surprisingly not the first, or I should say not surprisingly, not the first time that Watchman was arrested. He was prosecuted and arrested back in 2016 for doing something similar on Twitter, selling this illegal content. He started this by posting a picture of a woman's lower body on Twitter titled Slave Nursery. Starting with this photograph, he had posted 167 illegal photographs by May 18, 2017, and had actually also hacked into webcams and secretly recorded women. Now, despite the severity of this crime, the police only gave him 3 years probation and 1 year imprisonment on the basis that there was no prior criminal record. The sentence was confirmed in July 2018 and he did not appeal. Now, only 9 months after that sentence was given, he was already participating in the Nth Rooms. During his second time of arrest, around this September 2019, he was already engaged in a higher level website selling and distributing these images that are illegal, and the prosecution team from the first time was criticized for giving him such a weak punishment that he was continuously doing these crimes over and over, and the second time he was given a punishment of 3.5 years, you know, longer than the first punishment, but still 3.5 years, absolutely insignificant and absolutely nothing compared to what would happen if he was caught and arrested in the West. Now, September 2019 to March 2020 is when the Doctor's Room comes into play, but that's a whole nother series of events that related to Nth Room but are completely different both in severity and players, so we'll get to that in the next video. Gaga was finally captured in May of this year, 2020, and he claims that he didn't collect much money. He only collected about 900,000 won, which was near $800, and stated that he was never in it for the money, but it was just for his sexual desires, and that he was very sorry because he didn't know any better. It should be added that he has not been sentenced yet. Lastly, we have An Sung-jin, Gaga's accomplice. From March 2015 to March 2016, he was accused of creating sexual exploitation content just similar to the Nth Room stuff by using social media to approach 10 or more children or adolescents by threatening them in a similar fashion that Gaga did in the Nth Rooms. He was also accused of having sex with a minor back in April 2015. In addition, he was accused of doing all of the sexual exploitation stuff that was related to the Nth Room as Gaga's accomplice. From March 2019 to June 2019, he was also accused of distributing more than 1,000 videos related to this type of content, and for possessing 9,200 videos and pictures related to sexual exploitation. While investigating Gaga, they found out that An Sung-jin was also the one intimidating and exploiting and doing all this stuff similar to Gaga, which warranted his name to be released in June. So out of all the players so far related to the Nth Room, only Gaga and An Sung-jin's name have been released. And there you have it. That's all the information that's currently available regarding the actual Nth Rooms, hopefully in its entirety, so you have a full comprehensive understanding of what exactly went on related to the Nth Rooms. Now, for part 2, we're going to go and talk about Doctor's Room and talk about the players involved there and the crime that was set up there, and then finally we're going to talk about some of the other Telegram videos in part 3. So I wanted to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends, post on social media, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your auntie, tell whoever you can. Stay tuned for part 2. I'll catch you guys next time.